Hello, I'm Candas Jane Dorsey. I'm going to read today from my YA novel, Story of My Life Ongoing by C.S. Cobb. C.S. Cobb is Corey Cobb, who's a intersex teen who's having a bit of a discussion with their custodial parent about not wanting to choose a gender and is having enough pressure that they've ended up in a youth psych ward. And that's where we catch them at the beginning of the story. So here's Corey writing to their stepmom, Pat. Dear Pat, thanks for the voice recorder. I guess they figured out it wasn't dangerous. I told them that I promised you a letter every week, and that was consistency. And wasn't consistency one of the mature behaviors they were trying to encourage? Dr. Bullock got mad, but Dr. Larkin just said, why don't we give Corey a chance? And they did. It's been so long since I saw you. When I lived with you and Dad, we knew everything about each other, it seems like. And now I don't know what you're doing or anything, and everything here just is the same. So I guess I'll pick a topic every time I talk to you and try to stick to it. The first topic is a new kid. Today, there was this new kid in the unit, which is not so unusual, except this time it was interesting, more than usual. To explain what I mean, I have to tell you about Franklin, who is sort of typical in his own special way. Franklin was the last new kid we had, which was 3 or 4 weeks ago. Franklin is a tall, blonde guy with a really good build, like he works out or something. He can't read too well. He's growing his hair long, and he's pretty cute, but he gets this look on his face when the teacher calls on him, like he would if he had a boner and didn't want to stand up or something. He thinks we don't notice. So Miss Johnson, who has turned into our acting English teacher since Ms. Gupta went on stress leave, set him up with me, and I'm supposed to help him with reading skills. Corey, she says, you have remarkable skills in this area, and perhaps you can pair with Franklin for half an hour every day to help bring him up to the group level. This is fairly fucked, because for one thing, every other English teacher has told me I have reading issues, and it's on my record, and here she is already telling me I'm so great, which I don't trust her motives. And for another thing, because Franklin is full of the usual kinds of hate that a guy 15 going on 30 who can't read and has already had sex will definitely always have for someone like me. Why do I have to hang around with a fucking loser, is how he puts it. Since this was pretty much what I was thinking about him, I started to laugh. So he goes, what the fuck are you laughing at? You laughing at me? I go, you watch a lot of TV, right? So what? So this is so fucking predictable. What are you talking about? Nothing. We're fucking stuck with each other is all. So that's why you have to hang around with me. 2 fucking losers. Yeah, so now what? I go, so how about we start with Robinson Crusoe? The fuck is that? It's this book I had to read to my computer. Say what, asshole? See what I mean? I sighed and pulled the classic comic of Robinson Crusoe out of the shelf. This is so not rocket science here. Here, I said, we'll start here. Franklin sighed too and muttered fuck under his breath. Sensitive to criticism, I guess. So anyway, after a couple of teachers had to admit that the Franklin and Corey thing was not going to work on account of how Franklin seemed to enjoy looking up words in the dictionary like cocksucker and deviant and learning to spell raghead and slant. So we had a half hour a day called civility. Civility is all about the rules we are supposed to internalize, meaning that after a while of hearing the teacher say, Franklin, that's not appropriate language, or Corey, do you feel safe when Franklin is talking like that? Or Eleanor, please apologize to Franklin for calling him a fucking skinhead, which is funny because of the hair, but she did call him that. Or Corey, please don't loom over Zamala's desk like that. I don't think she feels safe, and so on. You're swearing or making racist comments or insulting other people or looming or all the things that make people feel bad and not safe, which I get about the looming, but even so. So this is what we have to look forward to when a new student lessons in civility, experiments in peer tutoring, and new ways to be told we're fucked up losers. Though I do admit this new teacher is a little better. For one thing, she seems to think that if she tells us something once, we should remember, so she's not always repeating the same, like Mr. Righteous last term, who was always saying these little homilies like, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with the one step, or sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, which is so not true, especially depending on where the words are. Like words coming out of his mouth who you should be able to trust, or words in your permanent record in school or in your medical record, where it will always have these words like incorrigible, or refuses to read at appropriate level, or confused about gender issues, which will follow you everywhere and make people treat you like shit. I try to remind myself no one will give a fuck what it said in my permanent records in this lame ass system, but this is one of those things that's hard to remember in times of stress. So I don't have to teach Franklin to read anymore. Anyway, what I'm trying to get across is that for this school, typical is a kid who wants to cut or break windows or beat up bags, which is what Frank and Angelo think I am, or kill themselves like Zamala tries to, or kill somebody else, or who has anorexia like Ashley did, who was here before, or other food issues like DeSoto, or who has chromosomal anomalies like Barbara did, and so does someone else you and me, I mean, know about, or who has something wrong with them, like their facial structure, like Eleanor, who was born with this twisted face. Eleanor is smart and pretty neat once you get to know her, but despite being kind of cool and having a pretty nice figure, she's convinced she will never have a boyfriend because of her face, which is why the steady diet of cutting herself in romance novels. And she's probably right if Franklin is the example of how guys will treat her. Franklin was nice to her in front of her face because he thought she'd have sex with them out of food, but behind her back he called her monster mouth, which was so unoriginal that when she overheard him one day, she just laughed. Also not a pretty sight, but I'm used to it. If you think I'll sleep with you, you are totally wrong, she said. I'm not that stupid. This year. Last year, she told me once she would have sex with anyone who gave her a kind word, which, with the cutting, is mostly why she ended up here, and why we have self-esteem half an hour a day. Anyway, so the new kid, the newest kid, that is, Kim, who came today, is not like that. But I don't have time to tell you more about that now. It's time for civility class. And that's a touch of Corey. To find out more, you'll have to read the book, new from Inanna this month, Story of My Life Ongoing by C.S. Cobb, by me, Candas Jane Dorsey. And thank you very much for this.